here. So Ryan Grimm cut this video out when he was in the press room, okay? And this is really, really fucking scary shit. I mean, the American media is just straight up being like, why won't we do a no-fly zone? Like, why can't we do it? Can we do a little baby one? Can we do a little, like, tiny no-fly zone? Can we just get, like, a little bit, maybe with drones, right? And, you know, they cut this video out, and I was saying, like, dude, I fucking love war. I used that SpongeBob meme. And then I said the media knows what no-fly zones entail. We enforced it with NATO forces in Libya. In Ukraine, it would mean nuclear powers fighting. I understand why Ukraine wants it. They're already living through World War III, and the West said they'd have their backs. But nuclear holocaust is not worth it. Okay? Like, I don't think nuclear holocaust is worth it. I don't think the American government, which otherwise would be like crazy fucking gung-ho, believes nuclear holocaust is worth it. And those motherfuckers love war. So it's just strange when I see people that call themselves communists on the internet literally fucking taking a more reactionary and more aggressive escalatory stance than the American government. Like, the American government has like the blood of babies on its fucking hands. And you call yourself a communist on the internet and you're like, no, actually, the American government would be a bunch of pussies right now. So basically,
yeah, looks good.
Basically, you know, there was someone who was like saying, so the 44 million Ukrainians should just fall to Russia and be ethnically cleansed, and Putin, like the reasonable leader he is shown to be, will definitely be content with annexing Ukraine and definitely won't invade the Baltics next. Fuck off with your myopic take.
Why don't the Ukrainian crystal moms use their
that's
no-fly
like,
crystals
I
to
mean,
keep
this
out
is
the Russians? Keeps out COVID, can keep
I don't
out the
fucking
Ruskies.
understand how people can take this kind of approach, because it's like, you just said Putin is a fucking madman. What's stopping him from releasing the nukes then? Like, you can't maintain the position that Putin is a fucking madman and he's going to take over the entirety of Ukraine and like ethnically cleanse Ukrainians and shit like that. And then also say, but he won't use nukes, when you know, he has said time and time again he would if America involves itself in this fucking war. Azan Complex vid is out, 22 minutes long. This is so terrifying. I have no idea what this looks like. I have no idea what I said. This was like in the midst of the fucking pandemic, so I'm like genuinely scared about how I look in this. We'll watch it afterwards. Yeah, a new Complex blueprint video of me came out. Yes, we'll do a watch party for that later. People be like, Putin's a madman, but he won't use nukes. Like, you can't say that. Then your take on Russia is consistently bad. You have ads for gambling companies, lol. This dude is like trying to reach any way he can. When have I run ads for gambling companies? I've never done that. If anything, Twitch is probably selling inventory. You're just making stuff up. And because that didn't work, now you're saying my take on Russia has been consistently bad. Nukes will end him in the process. He's mad, not stupid. Got it. What? You can't recall what you said? Pass into politics? Hi, I'm from Latvia. I saw your video where you say what you say about the Baltic states. I totally agree with you. If shit go wild, we are fucked by NATO and Russia. The only thing I control is the top of the hour ad break, but I don't actually control what ads run. You know, at the top of the hour, I run a 60-second ad break. And before that, I tell you, if you no longer want to see those ads, including the gambling one, I guess, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do that for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. And that's it. You know, Twitch Prime is free. Here's the 1-minute ad break now.
Clear that what they believe they need the most is more warplanes and fighter jets. So why is the U.S. assessing something different?
In a White House press briefing, reporters repeatedly asked why President Biden isn't doing more to provide Ukraine with direct military support.
Subscribe.
Why does the U.S. believe they know better what Ukraine needs than what Ukrainian officials are saying they need the most?
It sounds like, you know, we're pretty dug in on our position when it comes to the no-fly zone, when it comes to...
Like, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing? You're going to die. Your children are going to die. Everyone is going to perish. There is no survival beyond the nuclear holocaust. What the fuck is wrong with these people, man? Absolutely psychopathic shit, dude. Remember all the people who were like, if all countries were led by women, we wouldn't have this kind of problem. It's like, yeah, dude. Well, there you go. Here's a female press corps, okay? No, they're still, it doesn't matter, you know? Maybe it has something to do, nothing with gender and less to do with gender and more to do with American exceptionalism, which transcends beyond gender, you know what I mean? And of course, manufacturing consent.
The MiGs, despite this growing bipartisan call in Congress to shift a little bit. So, to put it bluntly, is Zelensky wasting his time tomorrow asking for these things?
President Zelensky is going to be speaking to Congress tomorrow. He's been pushing for fighter jets, no-fly zone. You have to hear some of those same requests tomorrow as well. Has the administration shifted on that at all?
Estonia, though, calling for a no-fly zone. They're a NATO member. They share a border with Russia. How do we view their calls for a no-fly zone?
And on President Zelensky's address tomorrow, of course, he is expected to ask for more assistance, as my colleague noted. A lot of the U.S. positions on that haven't changed, as you just said, when it comes to the no-fly zone. But on the aircraft specifically, the Pentagon said last week that Secretary Austin said they do not support the transfer of additional fighter aircraft at this time. Is that still the United States' position?
Would a strike in Poland on supplies or anything really automatically be met with a military forceful?
By the way, let me just describe something, okay? When your friends have this approach when they're like, "Oh, I believe in implementing no-fly zones." When you know people that say shit like that, it's because of these people. But worse, these people know what a no-fly zone entails, and they're still pushing for it. That's fucking crazy, dude. Okay? That's insane. When you know what a no-fly zone entails, when you know what the consequences of that are, and yet you're still posturing for it. And also in the process, misinforming the American public. That is literally just an abdication of journalistic responsibility. It's immoral. It's just disgusting in every way, shape, and form. It is, you know, these people aren't dumb. They know what a fucking no-fly zone is.
Response or simply a conversation amongst allies about how to respond?
There are reports that a Russian drone made its way into Polish airspace before going back to Ukraine and being shot down. Does a drone into Poland count?
Former
She's like, yo, I love when they're like, come on, just a little bit. Like a little bit. Would you give us a little bit? Dude, can you just please escalate the nuclear posturing? Our ratings are doing fucking incredible right now. Please. That's the funniest part about people accusing me of like being a fucking, war hawk or whatever, or saying that like, oh, Hasan has gotten such higher view count because of this war. It's like, dog, but I don't want it. Like, I don't want the war. I'm happy with which by view count is normalized again because people no longer give a shit. But like, I'm happy with this. Okay? You know?
Hasanabi head for life. Happy to be here.
There are reports of Russian-trained pigeons that are crossing the Polish border on a regular basis. Now, is this a justification for nuclear holocaust? It's just crazy.
Yovanovitch has been quite outspoken recently, and she said we need to mitigate risk, but it's also true that not taking greater action comes with a risk as well, because Putin is a bully and he only understands strength. Is the president showing enough strength against Putin? If Putin were to use chemical weapons, would it change the president's thinking when it comes to these MiGs taking the no-fly zone off the table, but at least on this issue?
Your view count normalized because you wouldn't show war porn too, in my opinion. Yeah, that's the other part of it too.
Can you give us any more details about what that threat means of severe consequences?
Did you reach a new all-time high concurrent viewer count? No, not even close.
The president obviously made the same threat last week. Is that purely economic consequences, or would there potentially be a military threat? Go ahead.
So, aside from the request for weapons, President Zelensky has also requested that the U.S. be more involved
that's
in
our boy.
negotiations toward a peaceful resolution to the war. What is the U.S. doing to push those negotiations forward?
Well, one of the steps we've taken, a significant one, is to be the largest provider of military and humanitarian and economic assistance in the world, to put them in a greater position of strength as they go into these negotiations. We also engage and talk to the Ukrainians on a daily basis, and the president and this national security team has rallied the world in being.
Ryan asked the only question that was like, what can we do to de-escalate? You've only talked about, complying with Ukrainian demands on escalation and about what kind of weapons we're sending there and yada, yada, yada. But what can we do with respect to de-escalation? What can we do? And, of course, she immediately sidesteps and deflects away.
Unified.
She's like, oh, well, we're giving them guns, which is giving them an upper hand in the negotiations. Okay, but do you have any sort of interest in giving
coverage,
making concessions, asking for anything, like, do you have an active line open with Ukrainian officials